Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So today we're doing something a bit special. I'm going to shit on a guy for a few minutes now. So you might have understood by this point that I do not like Valery Sablin. Him alone and what he did, I couldn't give a damn about, technically speaking. But because people have now decided to, for some goddamn reason, make this guy, praise this guy as a damn hero, I have to go against it because he's genuinely one of the most pathetic men you can think of. But revisionist, I don't know what the hell to call it, revisionist people out there want to view him as a great man, and I'm here to tell you he's not. And we're actually going to use a revisionist video to talk about it a bit more. And this is one by Anthony Skip called Valery Sablin, Captain Communist Mutineer. We'll talk about this video, some of his claims, and what actually happened in real life. And it's actually extremely pathetic what happened in real life. So let's get going.
In 1962, he wrote to Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev, denouncing the corruption and failures of the Soviet Union in properly instituting communism. In response, he was punished, and his graduation was delayed. Despite this, he still graduated from the academy with honors.
So you're telling me the anti-corrupt, sort of Leninist good boy, while going against the leading government for the moment, wasn't actually punished pretty much at all? No, he was actually pardoned. This is a man who benefited from the system in place. Sure, he was some weird revisionist socialist, wishing for a utopia that not even Lenin himself could have given him, but all of his positions were given to him because of the system in place, because he was a devout communist, because his father and grandfather was a naval officer as well. He benefited from the system.
At age 30, he was offered command of a destroyer. At his age, a huge accomplishment. But he turned it down to enlist in the officers-only Lenin Political Academy. At the academy, he was engulfed by communist literature, reading many books by Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, and other communist figures.
So, at this point, the dude is 30 years old, and you're giving him praise for reading Marx? Dude should have already done that. He's in his 30s. He's also stated of reading like Trotsky, and he got punished severely for that. But it's just, what the fuck? He's 30!
As the ship's second-in-command and chief political officer. As a political officer, his job was to lecture the crew on communism and keep an eye out for any traitorous behavior.
So you're telling me the ship that he had a mutiny in, he wasn't even captain of, but he got asked to be a captain when he was 30. No. This dude was like, I think 35 at this point, 36. All he did was teach the seamen about Marx and stop mutineers. And he failed at that. Alright, just to clarify, he was second in command, meaning if something would happen to the captain, he is the captain. This becomes very important now, how he did his mutiny later on. And no one wanted it. No one wanted this fucking mutiny. Like, one dude, except him, wanted it. The rest just went along because he's the fucking captain at this point. Second in command. He kidnapped the captain, and now he's the captain and gotta follow it or else he get executed back in the homeland. Come on!
Sablin began to prepare for the mutiny. He began to attract support from the crew members, gaining their respect. After luring the ship's captain below deck, he was locked inside.
Not much to say in this part per se. It's true. He gathered support. He tricked the captain and locked him in. But when that happens next and how this video frames it is awful.
The officers voted whether or not to support the plan by tossing checker pieces in a cup, but there was a tie. The remainder of the crew voted unanimously for the plan.
What is that framing? No one agreed. Alright, so it was a split. It was a split. Half of the officers said don't want mutiny, other half of the officers said I want mutiny. But the way he frames it is like, yeah, everybody agreed upon it. what about half of the guys who didn't agree upon it? You're just gonna ignore them and state that everybody voted unanimously, let's have this mutiny? No one wanted the fucking mutiny! And even one of the guys who you'll see later.
But before leaving, a junior officer had jumped overboard and alerted the authorities. Sablin decided to go along with the plan anyway.
That's not a small thing. The dude who ran was a guy who voted, one of the officers who voted for the mutiny. He didn't want the fucking mutiny, but he knew you were the captain in command, so he had to agree, otherwise he would be punished. But he tricked Sablin so he could later warn people. So your officers who said they wanted a mutiny did not want the fucking mutiny.
While some pilots refused to bomb the boat, eventually bombers disabled the boat and Soviet commandos entered the ship.
And who could have thunk this revisionist turd just completely forgot? Alright, so when they got on the ship, guess who arrested Sablin? The crew. Not the commanders or anything like that. The crew overwhelmed Sablin during the attack, so they could show, hey, we're not part of this stupid ass fucking mutiny in the first place. Here, have him. Have Sablin. So the people who agreed upon the mutiny, the crew who agreed upon the mutiny, backstabbed Sablin and captured him so he could be taken to the Soviets. Gee.
Sablin and 13 other mutineers were taken to Moscow to be interrogated. Sablin was sentenced to death and killed on August 3rd, 1976.
And yet again, they just completely forget to mention that only Sablin and his co-partner, which was also part of the propaganda team, were convicted and later killed. The rest of the mutineers, quote-unquote mutineers, got free because they didn't want to do it. And it's a lot of evidence that they didn't want to do it. But there was a lot of evidence that Sablin and the other guy wanted to do this mutiny. So yeah.
Valery Sablin was a man who was devoted to his beliefs. He believed in establishing a communist society in which people could live in peace. He was not the only one who saw the Soviet Union as oppressive and totalitarian, and his execution is one of many by a horrible regime.
Sure, the Soviet Union is stinky. We can agree upon that. But to think that Sablin in it, Jesus. Like, the dude was a revisionist socialist, he was a propaganda officer. I guarantee you, he was not pro-LGBT, pro-gay, none of that. He was just like a utopianist, Leninist, silly boy, like many other communists are. Yeah, were the USSR bad? Yeah. Was his plan any good? No. Would it work? No. Was it silly? Yeah. Like, the reason, alright, very important also to remember, the reason why they kind of let half the Baltic Navy at him, like at the ship. This is why it was such a big thing. It's like hunting this boat. But the reason why they did that is because there were 12 officers in there with quite high rank. And they were very afraid that Sablin might go over to Sweden, which he was very close to doing. He was just like a few kilometers away from Swedish soil. And if they did that, they couldn't actually get it. Meaning they just lost 12 fucking Navy officers. People who didn't even want the mutiny, but if they go into Swedish soil, yeah, they're gonna get captured by the Swedes. It was not so much about the propaganda stuff, because all it was going to do was going to St. Petersburg, Kronstadt, and you'll say, guys, Brezhnev, he kissed everybody, he a bad guy. Yeah, it's like, no one's gonna listen. No one's gonna fucking listen to you, bruv. It's just, this is just a man who throughout his life is very pathetic. There's nothing to him. He failed in nearly everything he did. Yeah, was he a good communist propaganda officer? Yeah, he was very good at being he wasn't even a good speaker, but he was good in propaganda. He knew how to jerk the right bureaucrat, the right corrupt officers to get to the position of power that he wanted. But even then, Why the fuck is this guy viewed as a good guy in any way? What romantic view on this pathetic fool do you guys have? I know Tino, this comes from Tino by the way, has rewritten this entire story to be some sort of like anarcho-socialist, like anarcho-liberal, I don't fucking know, something like that. But the dude was like hardcore revisionist, socialist revisionist, authoritarian in real life. Yeah, no, just pathetic through and through.